everything really is on the ballot. So whatever it is that you care most about, it's on the ballot. A woman's right to make our own decisions is on the ballot in this election. Whether or not we protect marriage equality and get to full equality in our country is on the ballot in this election. Whether or not we raise the minimum wage is on the ballot in this election. Whether or not we finally get to equal pay for equal work is on the ballot in this election. And something that matters a lot to me is that whenever my mom talks about the need to raise the minimum wage, she always talks about the need to finally get to equal pay for equal work for women and also for Americans with disabilities. Because the only legalized discrimination that still exists in our country is that it is legal for employers to pay Americans with disabilities less than 1/3 the federal minimum wage. That is unconscionable in the 21st century. Whether you care about any of those things that have already been talked about today, or whether you care about criminal justice reform or gun violence prevention, or addressing our heroin and opioid overdose epidemic in our country, or addressing the teenage suicide epidemic in our country, all of this is on the ballot in this election. Because my mother's the only person who has real plans to address the challenges that we face, and the only person who has a real record of actually working to address the challenges in those areas. Because sometimes I think I have a rather old-fashioned view in this election season, beyond the fact that I believe in something. And that what someone has done and has stood for and has fought for is a good indication of what they will stand for, they will fight for, and they will deliver on. And so, for me, I'm going to do everything I can to just talk to as many people as possible about what's really important.
Hi there, if I could ask you your first name and where you're from?
My name is Kathleen from Keene, New Hampshire.
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for welcoming us here to Keene. If I could ask you, are you here as a Hillary Clinton supporter?
I am.
And can you tell me why you're supporting Hillary Clinton for president?
I'm supporting her because I think that she has very good, especially in domestic policies. I haven't been a Hillary supporter in the past. I voted for Bernie in the primary, and I voted for President Obama in the primary 8 years ago. I'm terrified to think of what Donald Trump would do on the international stage because I think he has a thin skin, and I believe that he would get us into a war very easily. I'm also very concerned about the deadlocked Supreme Court, that we only have 8 justices on it right now, and I trust that she would make very good nominations to the court.
Could you tell me, there I know you were originally for Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
What policies of Hillary Clinton would steer you towards her? What is she in favor of that you're also in favor of?
Well, I think she blows away Donald Trump on policies that deal with women's rights, with the rights of children, with in general social services overall. She would want there to be a Department of Education. She supports climate. She acknowledges that there's climate change, whereas Trump thinks that it's a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. I honestly can't think about, first of all, I can't even think of many clear policies that Trump has. And for example, when he talks about Obamacare, he just says, well, we'll replace it. There are many people who are benefited by Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, who are under age 26, or people through the Medicaid expansion. So it's not a close contest for me.
So as we head into the next 4 years, you think it's absolutely essential that we elect Hillary Clinton?
Absolutely.
Okay, and can you tell me, have you considered Donald Trump at all? And if not, why not?
I haven't, because I don't have a single reason as to why I would. And he to me makes almost every other previous Republican candidate look like an absolute statesman. I'm a Democrat, but I think that it is incredibly scary to think that to me he's a demagogue, and he just likes to rile people up and wants to cause disunity, and it's just it really scares me to think of what damage he could do, not just on the national scale, but also in terms of international. I mean, the markets have reacted. When the polls go up, it looks like he's going up a bit. The markets start to really fall down. So no contest to me.
Hi, my name is Mitch Brodsky from This Week with Mitch Brodsky, political and social commentary blog. I was wondering if you could tell me your first name and where you're from.
My name is Richard. I'm originally from New York. Now I'm living in Keene, New Hampshire.
I see from your button that you are a Hillary Clinton supporter.
Yes.
Could you tell me why you're supporting Hillary Clinton for president?
Well, I've been following her career ever since I first voted for Bill Clinton back in the early 90s. And I believe in her as a candidate, as the person with the most experience, who is the best person for our country at this moment.
Can you tell me what particularly about either her character or her policies endears you to her and makes you support her?
Well, I think her policies are grounded in reality as opposed to the other candidate, and that she has had decades of experience that have shaped these policies, domestic and foreign.
Can you tell me what is there about Hillary that makes you think that it's essential that she be elected at this time and point in our nation's history?
Well, it's more than just her being a woman. I believe it's important. Having a woman president is historically important, and the time is now. She's the best person for it. Are you asking about very specific policies?
Policies or what the nation is going into in the next 4 years.
Well, I believe we're in danger of so much instability that she actually would be able to navigate us through the challenges that we have now, both with the wars and with domestic issues. She's been involved in this for most of her life, politically for the last couple of decades, and that she provides a grounding and it will not lead us into a dangerous path of shooting from the hip or experimentation or divisiveness, and that she will truly try to work with Republicans who I'm afraid will put up a fight to work with her.
Thank you. And can you tell me, did you consider Donald Trump at all for your choice, and if not, why not?
Not for a nanosecond. I've been following his career. I come from New York. I've been following his career since the early 80s. As a matter of fact, I had many friends who lived near him in Queens before he became famous. So I've known about everything that's coming out now about him in the press. I've known about for decades. And I believe anyone from New York at that time could tell you that he's a con man. He doesn't mean what he says.
It's very inspiring.
He will not fulfill any of his promises. He will stir up the worst in people. He panders to people. He panders to himself. And I don't even consider him to be a real option or a real politician.
Thank you very much. And your first name again?
Richard.
And from New York?
Well, I say originally from New York just because Trump's an issue.
And where are you now?
Now I live here in Keene.
Thank you very much, and thanks for welcoming us this morning.
All right, thank you.
Are you here as a Hillary Clinton supporter?
Yes.
All right, and what is your first name?
Laura. I'm Laura, and I'm from Acton, Massachusetts.
And this would be your daughter?
Hi.
Hi there. What is your name?
Harper.
And you're also from Acton, Massachusetts? All right, I like that hat you have on there, Hillary Clinton hat. You're supporting your candidate. I was wondering if you can tell me why you're supporting Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think if you look at heads of state around the world, I think Obama is one of the intellectual minds ahead of anybody else, and I would say the same thing about Hillary. I supported her when she first ran for Senate in New York. I was living in New York at the time and helped out and volunteered on her campaign then, and hoped very much that one day she would be on the ticket. I think that she has embodied the issues that are very important to us for an incredibly long time. That includes women's reproductive freedom. It includes working against poverty and trying to overcome structural inequality, particularly systemic racism. I also believe that the future of our country in a globalized world, it's incredibly important to have a very serious leader, somebody who's incredibly knowledgeable, who takes the job seriously, who does her homework, and those are probably the primary reasons.
Thank you. And let me ask your daughter, if I can, why do you think it's important that that Hillary Clinton be elected for president?
Because I think it is.
Give a better reason than that.
Why do you like Hillary Clinton?
Because she's not racist and sexist, and she sticks up for the right of people.
You think she'll do good things for boys and girls in this country? No. Okay, thank you. And can you tell me, did you consider at all voting for Donald Trump? And if so, why? If not, why not?
I never once took him seriously as a candidate. I think that he's an opportunist, a craven opportunist. I think that his platform has capitalized on people's fears related to the economy. I think that he's done that in a self-promotional way, not in a way that is really truly caring about people. I think that's been shown through what's happened with Trump University. I think it's been shown through the fact that he's done no civil service throughout his lifetime, which is in deep contrast to Hillary. I think that he has unleashed a terrible, terrible epidemic where people think that it's okay to say things that are deeply misogynistic, that are deeply racist, that are Islamophobic, homophobic, and it's been very sad to watch his candidacy. And I realize more and more that the partisan issues that separate us should actually be looked at as issues. He's made this campaign so personalized in a way that is deeply problematic. He doesn't really respect the structures of our government. He doesn't really, in fact, understand how the presidency works. So there's no chance I ever would have voted for him. I think there are real Republicans who can be taken seriously, and he's absolutely not one of them.
So you remain Hillary Clinton's advocate.
Look, I also supported Bernie. Unfortunately, I don't think his policies, his economic policies, were ever realistic enough, but I did believe that he helped push Hillary away from some of the centrist policies. I also think that there are issues related to foreign policy that I would disagree with her on. But that said, there's absolutely no way that I wouldn't support her in this election.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you very much, too. Really glad that you're here.
Lisa?
I think Baltimore is really Donald Trump.
Oh.
He wants to take over the world.
And for those few people in our audience that don't know Voldemort, that he's from Harry Potter, right? Yeah. Okay. And he's the evil one, the one who shouldn't be named, right? Okay. Thank you very much.
So don't speak Donald Trump's name. The one who may not be named.
Thanks for being here today, both of you. Thanks for going on the record. Thanks. Hi there. My name is Mitch Krosky from This Week with Mitch Krosky. I was wondering if you can tell me, are you here supporting Hillary Clinton?
Yes, I am.
And can you tell me why you would support Ms. Clinton?
Well, first and foremost, she's incredibly qualified. If you go through the history of all the political candidates that we've had, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more qualified candidate. Get all the noise out of the way and get down and look at what her true qualifications are, and she's as qualified as any candidate I've ever seen.
Can you tell me what's in your background would you say particularly qualifies her?
Well, 30 years of public service, 8 years in the White House, behind the scenes. You can learn a lot in 8 years. Secretary of State, U.S. Senator. I can't imagine. I study this stuff, and I don't know another candidate.
First name and where you're from?
Kathleen Amherst, Mass.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
Sahar Amherst, Mass.
Sahar.
Thank you very much. And I'm wondering if you can tell me if you're here supporting Hillary Clinton, and if so, why?
Yes, we're here supporting Hillary Clinton. I've been waiting to vote for Hillary Clinton for president since I first saw her do a health care speech at Faneuil Hall back in the day, and she struck me as one of the smartest people I've ever seen. And I think it's really important to have an intelligent person leading this country. I also align with Hillary on all of the big values in terms of reproductive rights, in terms of immigrants, in terms of world peace, in terms of the economy, in terms of standing against racism. What am I forgetting? Every other thing.
Is this your daughter here?
Yes.
And could you tell me, would you be supporting Hillary Clinton? Well, you can't vote, but are you supporting Hillary Clinton in any case? And can you give me one big reason why?
The same reasons.
Besides the fact that we are overjoyed to vote for a woman for president. It's a long time coming.
Thank you. And can you tell me why you think it's absolutely essential that Hillary Clinton be elected president for the next 4 years?
You mean instead of Donald Trump?
Instead of anybody else.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, you know, what else is there to say about Donald Trump that hasn't already been said? I mean, not only is he completely unqualified, he is a horrible human being in every kind of way. He has no values, he's a liar, he is a racist bigot, he's a misogynist, he's a sexual predator. He is not somebody that I even want to be in the same room as my daughter, much less actually lead the free world.
So you never considered even for a second voting for Donald Trump?
No.
And you wouldn't consider either voting for Donald Trump? No.
I'll say, the last thing I'll say is that my husband is an immigrant from Morocco, and my children are Muslim, and that has been a serious thing for us ever since Donald Trump started to talk about Muslim bans and rounding up Muslims and the rest of it. It's not only is it morally reprehensible, it's so un-American, like to its core, and I feel like we're America, and my husband is American, and that's who America is, and Donald Trump is who America's not.
I thank you very much. Thank you, and I want to thank you as well. Very best of luck to you. What grade are you in?
Fifth.
Fifth grade in Amherst?
We're on the record skipping school for Chelsea.
I wonder if you can answer 3 questions for me. First of all, why are you supporting Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Clinton is supremely qualified for this office. I've been a fan of hers, not all of her career, I have to say, but I get more and more impressed by her with each passing week. She's a tiger, and she believes in the right things, and she's worked really hard for them all of her life. So I have huge respect for her, and it just continues to increase. So I'm a big supporter. Also, her stances are right on so many of the issues.
Could you give me a couple issues that you think are...
She's right on gun control. She's right on, let me just think, the economy. She's right on rights for women. She's right on planning for education, for infrastructure. These are all things that we need to make our economy work better. I could go on.
Thank you. Could you tell me why you think it's absolutely essential that we elect Hillary Clinton for president?
We've just got to. We cannot have Trump. He's a disgrace. He's scary. It'd be just the worst thing that could happen to this country, nationally, internationally, so many ways. She's got to win. Also, I will say, as a woman, I'd be so thrilled and excited to have the great country of the United States run by a woman. Not run by, but have a woman as our president. It's time.
Thank you very much. And can you tell me your first name and where you're from?
Kate from Peterborough, New Hampshire.
Thank you very much, Kate.
You're welcome.